Hello, I'm Junkyard Rat. Welcome to episode 23, live from the fentanyl capital of the world, San Francisco, California. And my two guests today are Brain Damage.
Yo.
And we got J. Austin Graham,
What's up?
who is one of the people responsible for turning the fentanyl crisis that bad. He actually ruined the Tenderloin while he was here, and he bailed before it got too rough. It's all his fault. What do you think, Jay? Is it your fault that the Tenderloin went to hell?
I certainly encourage all the drug use possible. Actually, I was an advocate for harm reduction for opioid use in the Tenderloin. I don't know. I was for harm reduction, but I wasn't for what happened, which is people moving from all over the country there. And I think the problem is San Francisco is a great tolerant place that wants to not arrest people for doing what they want to do. And that's what I loved about San Francisco. That's why I was there. And unfortunately, people really take advantage of that. And I don't know what the solution is.
Well, arm reduction sounds good. If you cut people's arms off, they'll be hard to do drugs. Is that what you're talking about, arm reduction? We catch you with drugs? Is that what you're talking about? We cut your arms off?
I know the
I think you're onto something, man. Maybe just cut off a few fingers, because it's hard to hold a pipe if you're missing fingers. I don't.
Well, the problem with harm reduction is they give you everything you need to do drugs, like the crack pipes, the tinfoil, lighters. They give you all this stuff, but they don't give you any bongs or rolling paper. Why don't they give you stuff for weed? They only want to help you smoke weed, but you want to do some fentanyl or crack. We're all for it. You need some needles. Here's some needles. You need a bong. You're on your fucking own.
I did see they were handing out colored straws. They were rainbow colored and really brightly colored. And you know that adding color to a paper straw costs more money. And I was just so some artist in San Francisco tricked them and said, hey, you got to pay me to make these straws look nice. And honestly, good for that person. I hope they're making good money, but it's a waste. It's a waste of extra money.
They got to give out paper straws because you can't even give out real straws anymore in San Francisco. You buy a drink, it's only paper. They got to give you real straws.
I hate those.
Those paper straws are hard to do drugs with because they fuck up your high. They make your stuff wet. Whatever you're putting in your nose, they kind of dissolve it. They need plastic ones, right?
You're exactly right, man. I hate the paper straws. That's one thing I like about Texas. We got plastic bags. We got real straws. As soon as I moved back here, nobody was wearing masks. There was a lot of things that I didn't appreciate when I was here, but the world has changed. And now there's things I like about being back in Texas.
Dude, my wife and I keep a box of plastic straws in the cars for when we go places and they give us a paper straw. I'm like, I'll be right back.
Exactly. Why do you guys need so many straws, though?
I like straws. I don't know.
Somebody gave me a glass, like a glass straw one time. And I don't know if they thought because their wife made like bongs and glass stuff. I don't know if he thought I was on drugs. He's like, you want a glass straw? I'm like, sure. I don't even know what happened to it, but yeah, it's like it's crazy. They got all these damn rules, man. Like, I think you're also responsible for turning the Tenderloin into hell. Weren't you hanging out here for a while?
I mean, I used to work in the Tenderloin, but I really didn't hang out there.
What did you do at the Tenderloin?
So I worked for a nonprofit youth organization, so we kind of ran. Well, it was like a telephone hotline where like teenagers could call and like get advice and like say, oh, I need to take my brother to the park, and then you could check, oh, this park's around your neighborhood, but they could also call and be like, I'm suicidal. What do I do? Like the first time I ever answered the phone for that company, I was on the phone for like 3 hours with this girl that was suicidal.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was like, yeah, it really messed me up. But I mean, like, we got through it. So
Is she alive or?
I hope so. I don't know.
What do you think of the little security that the mayor has going on? Have you noticed the people with the black and green?
I didn't notice it.
Oh yeah, there's.
So what? He's got like his own little task force or something?
Oh yeah, the mayor of San Francisco has got like a little security task
But
force.
wait, I thought the mayor was a lady.
It is a lady.
She is.
Yeah.
London breed. But yeah, she has like a whole crew of people walking around, and that's you probably would have been working for them if you had been around now.
Yeah,
Is that a real job though? Do they pay or?
I mean, I'm sure they do. I wouldn't want to be nobody's security guard though, honestly.
But now
I'm
you
like-
you went
It's a
from
tough
talking,
job.
huh?
That would have to pay really well.
Right. Like I don't even like being my own security guard. You know what I mean?
I think they hire them out of prison. Like you get out of prison and like, do you need a? I don't think Paul likes me talking about this because he's afraid. He's afraid of those.
You're the customer. You can talk about anything. I mean, I want you to express yourself in a free and expensive way.
I'm not making fun of him. I'm not saying anything, but it is kind of like I was kind of surprised, but I think it's good that they get hired. Like I was at the Walgreens last week where they killed a guy on the Walgreens. They killed a guy on the Mission.
Yeah.
And out there, nobody's stealing anything. Nobody's yelling anything. It's really quiet. And I'm not condoning anything, but you'll be surprised what a little violence does to make people think maybe I
Right,
shouldn't rip the
right.
store off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here in Texas, I can't even tell you. Okay, I work in a brewery where we have a bunch of bats on the walls wrapped in barbed wire and with nails through them. We've got some with AR-15 rails with axe blades on them. We have stuff like that just hanging on the wall, accessible. And people will come in and number one, I want to charge them extra if they say zombie. Everybody always comes in and goes, "Ooh, you're ready for the zombie apocalypse." And it's like, I mean, number one, you're in Texas. If you think a bat with spikes through it is heavy weaponry, you don't know where you are.
At first, I thought you meant like the bats that fly. I was like,
That's what I thought at first. Too.
yeah, I'm like, I want to see that bar.
Bats with
Does,
barbed wire.
does Ozzy Osbourne own this place?
Okay, now that kind of bat with barbed wire would be badass.
So working in a brewery, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. The brewery's called Eccentric. I always represent.
Oh,
Show off that again.
Here.
There you go.
Eccentric Brewing, Midland, Texas.
So you got AR-15s in the bar itself?
What?
You got AR-15s in the bar?
I mean, not that you can see on the wall.
I was surprised. I saw somebody selling those. I was surprised how they look like plastic toys. The AR-15s.
Well, I mean, they're lighter than you'd think.
Yeah.
I've been firing a lot more guns since I've been in Texas. The other day, I fired a silenced 22, and it sounds. All you hear is the clicking of the gun. And then I watched Casino, and in that movie, they shoot somebody in the back of the head twice with a silenced gun, and it sounded just like it. So it was really cool to be like, wow, that's a real silenced gun in a movie.
Yeah, I'm always surprised because where I live, there's a bunch of liberals who are anti-guns, and they have protests. But I always think like it's easy to be like anti-gun if you live in a place where nobody's ripping you off, nobody's gonna shoot you, But then there's certain areas where you gotta have a gun for protection to live, And
well, there's a big difference is wildlife. Like a snake's not going to listen to reason. You can't arrest a snake. Like you got to shoot that fucker.
That's a small target. You got to have some good aim, huh?
Well, I mean, generally, like they hopefully you're far enough away, but yeah, they'll coil up and stick their head. Yeah, that once they're coiled, you can shoot them. But yeah, it's not easy.
Do they actually die after you shoot them, or?
Oh yeah, you aim for the head. A rifle's like not that hard. A pistol's a little harder, but you don't. You're like 15 feet, 20 feet away. It's not that bad. I mean, I've actually not shot a snake myself, but I've seen many snakes shot. Also, like we got coyotes, foxes. But in San Francisco, there's big ass raccoons.
Right.
Those things.
In Oakland, too. They ran me off my smoking spot.
There are a lot of bears out here, too, running around.
Dude, those are monsters. Those Bay Area raccoons,
San Francisco.
They're no joke.
There's turkey. They're like wild turkeys where I live. And I didn't realize turkeys like sleep in trees because I didn't even know turkeys flew. I'm like, where do they fly? I mean... But they fly up to the tree because the coyotes are going to eat them while they're sleeping and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I just saw a video where a pilot had a turkey fly through his windshield.
Yeah,
and he's got like blood all over him, and you just see the turkey's butt right in front. It was a huge ass bird.
Yeah.
How far up in the air was it? I mean, how?
You just see him in the
I have no idea.
Really know, but
how far can turkeys
I don't know
fly?
any of that.
We're not talking about like 50 miles up in the air and there's a turkey up there flying and stuff.
I don't even know what mileage a plane normally flies at, man. I'm not good with numbers.
Do you miss San Francisco? Or?
Like every time I get in a plane, they used to tell you like, oh, we're cruising at blah 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 feet. And I don't remember that. It flies in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, I flew to Vegas in Christmas, and there was like nobody wearing masks really now. I mean, people really think that COVID is over. I think they're gonna bring it back for the election. They got they got election plans with COVID. I have a bad feeling that COVID is gonna make a comeback. Biden is in town right now. He's here today. He's in Palo Alto with the rich people and stuff.
Dude, you should take him some shrooms.
I would.
It might help him, man.
Bro, I still wear my mask on BART.
You still wear?
That's the only place I wear my mask. I'm like, I'm not getting on BART and just raw dogging this.
I almost bought a Halloween mask.
It was way different in San Francisco, man. I wore my mask, when it was all because just to get out to the street, I had to get in an elevator that people have been getting in all day. And, you got to touch those buttons. You got to touch the doorknobs. I was washing my hands all the time and stuff. Here, it's different. I leave my house and, like, nobody else touches the doorknob but the people who live in the house.
You're that afraid of touching a doorknob? You gotta get some gloves or something.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I'm not afraid. I wore a mask to drive Uber here because Uber made me, but I haven't worn a mask anywhere here in Texas.
Yeah, I don't even think masks did anything at all. I think.
Well, It's what it did is it kept you from touching your face, and like if you had a runny nose or were sneezing or something, it kept you from spreading that. You
Right.
know what I mean? And it kept you, like, if your hands were dirty, it kept you from getting it by from touching your face. So I do think masks accomplish things. It's just not exactly the way that we were told that it worked.
Right.
It's not the first time they had us wear masks. Like in the night, I think in 1918, people were wearing masks again in America. I saw
Oh
a
yeah.
movie that there was some flu epidemic. So it's not the first time, but it's like, yeah, I hated wearing the mask. I didn't think it did anything. And personally, I don't think you can get COVID unless you get tested, you know. As long as you know, I
Uh,
mean, I could have COVID a bunch of times and not even have known it because
Well, that's another thing. I did have it. I know I had it. I had COVID for like 3 days. That first day was freaking terrible, but I just like took a bunch of zinc, a bunch of vitamins, drank a bunch of juice, like slept, and within 3 days it was gone. I did have lasting no smell. That's how I know for sure it was COVID. But that only lasted like a week. I went and started drinking really strong IPAs. At first, I thought, why am I going to pay extra for something I can't taste? And then I thought, no, I need to do the opposite. I need to get really strong flavors and just force this to work again. And that seemed to have worked.
yeah, when I got COVID, I couldn't smell or taste anything, so I just started eating a lot of pussy. Like I thought, fuck. Actually, I got COVID last year. I was when the Warriors were having their parade that day. They kept saying, "Don't go to the parade because you'll get COVID." I actually tested myself that day, and I had COVID already. But I had a good time, you know. When you got COVID, people leave your ass alone. Like nobody bothered me. My mom stayed away from me. I'm like, I wish I had COVID once a month. I need COVID like once a month. I got to watch TV. Like it was, I had a good time with COVID, you know. It's not all that bad.
Dude, I had it one time, and I shit you not, every single day it was something different. Like one day I had a runny nose, the next day I had diarrhea, but it started not matching up because the day I had diarrhea, I also had a cough, so it was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, wake up the next day, my head hurts. Finally got my appetite back, but can't taste the food. Like it was brutal. Every single day was something completely different. It was weird as fuck.
Well,
That
it's,
was the only time I ever had it. I don't know.
And that, you know what, that kind of lends itself to the whole lab theory, right? Because that's crazy. The way it's like the way it would act different days. We've never had anything like that before.
Right.
We've never had something that makes it so that we can't taste and smell before. All this stuff is new,
that was the
and it's
best
all
thing
odd.
about it, though, that you couldn't smell. That's how I tested myself every day. I would just smell weed. And if I could smell weed, I'm like, I don't got it. But now COVID doesn't do that to you. It's harder to figure out if you got it, you know?
Yeah, and it's almost like if it's harder to figure out if you got it, does it even matter?
Nah. Well, I live in a senior community, so I felt pressured to get the vaccines, you know, because I didn't want to kill off a bunch of seniors, you know. Because
I do know people that a lot of people here did get the vaccine. There's people think that people in Texas, I don't know as many people who got the vaccine here as I do in California, but a lot of people here did get the vaccine, especially elderly or people over 50. In fact, I don't think I know anybody over 50 who didn't get it here.
well, I'm 51 now, so I qualify for. Did you get the vaccines? Or?
Yeah, I got it.
Because you work with kindergarten, so
Yeah. Well, that time I was at a different school, so I had like I think at that point I had sixth grade. But yeah, I got the original two, and then one of those booster shots, and then after
Well,
that,
hey, and
I didn't do anymore.
my mom's had like 5 vaccine shots. I'm like,
Yeah.
are you
Somebody
supposed
told me they did that, like 5 or 6 shots. I was like, what?
like every
I didn't even know
6
they had that
months?
many.
I don't know.
But
I did like twice. I think did 3 or 2 of them. But at the end, it's like I don't know because I had, I'm a foreigner, so they gave me the polio and all that other vaccine, but I never got polio. So to me, it didn't make sense that you would get the vaccine and you could still get it. Like, what's the point of that?
But that happens with the flu, right?
Well, no,
Uh,
I don't get the flu
well,
vaccine
the
either.
flu changes every year. And that was what they said about the vaccines for COVID. But the problem with that is by the time the vaccine was actually available, the COVID had supposedly already become a new variant. And that's why people were getting the vaccine and then still getting it. So I'm not there. The vaccines probably did what people said they did. But was it effective overall? Also, maybe not. I don't. There's the way people argue about these things is way overblown, and I think there actually is a pretty a middle road that can be found and understood here.
What is the middle road?
Well, like I was saying, I mean, the vaccines probably did work really well against a specific variant, but the timing was too slow, and the variant was way ahead, so people were still getting it. But those other variants weren't as bad, so people weren't dying from it either. I mean, that's just evolution of viruses.
Now,
But a lot of people are trying to get clicks and views and make arguments and beat the other side, and it becomes a war over a thing that shouldn't be that hard to figure out.
well, that was the problem that there's a lot of people who got tested for COVID because of their jobs over and over. So I understand why they were paranoid, but a lot of us, I mean, you had to buy your COVID test for a while. So it was like, why not just give us free COVID tests if they're really that serious,
Dude,
I'm with you on that.
Every week.
You test it every week?
Every week. We would go in and they would give us this little thing and you have to like spit in it. You have to like put this much spit, so it'll take you a little while, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then like put this top on it, put it all in this wrap and like put it in a UPS bag, and then they'd have the bin, so like the whole school would have to do it, each person, every single week. And
it's different when you're dealing with kids in a situation like that. So I really do believe people were just trying to do their best to protect other people for the most part. But there were some really stupid things that were done.
I remember in the beginning, I would come home from like shopping and then stop at the door and like undress myself and like Lysol my clothes on and Lysol my groceries, and after a few weeks, it's just like coming in and just, you know what I mean, being normal again. Like,
my brother went to Europe for spring break and he came back with COVID, and I'm wondering, did he come back with European COVID? Did my brother spread European COVID to Sacramento?
Well,
right.
So the one time I got COVID was right after a good friend of mine first got his vaccination. And so, like, I believe that he got it. He got that little bit. His body was fighting it off like it was supposed to, but I caught it from him. Otherwise, I might not have ever caught it if somebody around me didn't get vaccinated.
And you never spoke to that guy again, right? You're
no,
like,
actually,
fuck that
we're really
guy.
good friends.
Fuck him.
I mean, like I said, I got over it in a few days. I wasn't that upset.
Yeah, a friend of mine thought I gave him COVID. I'm like, you don't know if it was me. You don't fucking know it was me.
Actually, he's the one who was like, yeah, man, I think it was me.
Well, no, I never went to the Warriors parade. I tested myself that day because, and I realized I got COVID, right? I tested so I never actually went to the parade, but I would have gone anyway. If it was now, I probably would have gone with COVID. I'm like, who cares? The Warriors aren't going to repeat anyway. So as long as I don't give any of the players COVID, I think I'm all right,
Dude, Klay Thompson was acting a fool that day. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
Lost his hat in the lake. Almost dropped the trophy. Or didn't he drop his ring or something like that?
Yeah, he came on a boat, didn't he? Like,
Yeah.
I was watching the Vegas Knights parade. They won, and they had to do it on Saturday night because it was so damn hot. I've never seen a parade done like at nighttime because of the hot weather in Vegas.
Vegas, they did it. Wow.
Yeah,
Night parade,
they won the Stanley Cup, and Saturday they had their parade, and it started at 7 p.m. because it was like 90 degrees and stuff. You know?
Crazy. I think they had a UFC that night.
Yeah, they had a UFC that night. Do you watch a lot of UFC? Or?
Yeah, I watched a lot of UFC, but I did miss this week because I went to my buddy's birthday party. Trip off of this. This lady comes up to me and she sees my cocoonut lei, right, that I wear. And she's like, "Oh, I'm from Brazil. Are you from Hawaii?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, as a Hawaiian, what do you think about the tiki bar in Oakland?" I said, "I ain't never been to no tiki bar." And she starts telling me, "Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta take your wife." She was like, "Matter of fact, give me your number. You and your wife's gonna go there." And I'm like, my wife's gonna kill me if I even tell her. Yeah, this random Brazilian lady wants us to go to the tiki bar with her. But then finally she was like, "My husband's over here." I was like, "Thank God."
Well,
I was like, my wife is gonna hang me from the balcony if I get a text like, "Hey, Brain, we met at that party, remember?" It would have been all bad, bro.
they got titty bars in Oakland. Where the hell are the titty bars in Oakland? Oh, you meant tiki bar.
Tiki bars.
Is she good looking though? That's the main question.
I don't know. My wife is gonna watch this podcast, so I'm gonna plead the fifth on that.
You could tell me, was the Brazilian woman good looking or not?
Brazilian, yeah, she was all right. She was a little older,
Well,
but
yeah.
like she was. Even my son was like, "Dude, that whole time she was flirting with you," and I was just paranoid that mom was gonna whoop your ass. And then all of a sudden she mentioned her husband, and he said he caught a sigh of relief on that one.
Yeah, I think your wife can whip some women's asses. And stuff. I met your wife. I'm like, that's one fight that could go down. Those women are crazy. They will fight you though.
Yeah,
The Brazilian women are crazy and stuff.
yeah. I don't know if she was lying, but supposedly she told my buddy whose birthday it was that one of her cousins is Anderson Silva. He's one of the best fighters in the world for a long time. He's old now. He's got knocked out a few times, but
Yeah.
and so I was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? So hopefully if because she supposedly, I met her husband at the end and was like, apparently me and you are going on a double date. And he was like, yeah, my wife kind of does that from time to time. So if she does text me, like, it seems like a cool couple to.
Did she ever text you though? Or?
No, this just was on Saturday, so I ain't got no random text. But she was a little drunk too, so hopefully she just was too drunk and won't even remember to text me.
I got a question now. A friend of mine, he's celebrating his birthday on Friday, but I got a comedy show I do every Friday, and I feel comedy trumps birthday parties. What do you think?
Well, you should just go to the party and then let me substitute pinch hit for you for that night.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Chris.
If I could advocate for your friends, no, I'm just.
So I got this one for you.
Well,
So you said
you know,
you do
Vahed.
this comedy show every week, right?
Yeah, we do the Kel's comedy show with Vahe out at North Beach every Friday. We do the show, and
Every Friday.
but
How often does this guy have a birthday?
I don't know, but Vahe's paranoid. Vahe's really paranoid. Like, if I cancel on him once, he might ignore me for a year. So that's the problem with Vahe. He gets, like, Friday, he was supposed to give me a ride home, and we couldn't find him. Like, he parked nearby. And I'm not saying he's paranoid, but because I helped set up the chairs and everything. So I'm afraid that he's going to decide maybe I don't need this guy anymore. He chose some birthday over me. And because it's not like we've had a falling out before, but not a fight. But we used to do a show called Hanging Out Together. So I'm kind of afraid he's just going to decide, I don't need this fool anymore.
Oh my God, I remember that. That was a YouTube series before there was YouTube series.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't even know where those videos are. Somehow I think he's hiding them. He thinks we're going to become famous and he's going to get rich off those videos.
I think he's embarrassed.
Maybe he is embarrassed, but because he also has a show he does in Warner Creek on Saturdays. I've never been booked on that show. And, but yeah, like But it's a thing. It's like the birthday party that my friend's having it's a sesh and it happens Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's actually
so you could skip Friday.
yeah, I could skip Friday, but it's like I fuck my friend. You know, I'm comedy. Comedy's more important. You give me stage time every Friday. I think that trumps somebody's fucking birthday party because I'm there every Friday on that stage. You know, I think it's important for me not to piss off Vahe.
Yeah, I
True.
talked to him last night before our Zoom show, and so he agreed to let me go twice a month now. Because right now I'm only doing first Fridays of the month. But I'm like, yo, this is the second month in the last 3 months that's 5 Fridays, so I gotta wait. And so he's like, all right, I could do first and third. So I was like, all right, well, this coming Friday's the third Friday of the month. And he's like, no, you have to wait till July. I was like, oh.
Do you want me to give you advice how to keep getting booked on that show? Keep bringing all your family.
Right.
As long as you bring a bunch of people,
Yeah,
he'll put you.
I got a couple of homies coming through on the next one is July 6th or 7th or something like that. But he said start in July, then I can do first and third. So
And he only gives us 5 minutes when
Right.
everybody else who's booked gets 10 minutes. And the embarrassing part is he puts it on the messenger that he sends out to all the comedians booked on that show. He puts everybody's time in the schedule. And somebody like I think Hayden was hosting the show and he's like, you only get 5 minutes, you know that? And it kind of embarrassed me. Like I want to say, so what? I only get 5 minutes, but it's like, you know.
I'm still new, so I think like 5 minutes is cool for me. But then he did say he might try to give me more minutes since I'm doing. I wouldn't be up every Friday, but like I gotta do like a few months of just 5 minutes, and then
And then he follows me on stage and he apologizes to the audience for bringing me.
I mean, I have seen you perform,
couple
Chris.
weeks, you go after
So-
him now.
Yeah, but the best thing about
Sometimes
doing
that's
that,
necessary.
but the best thing about doing that, I did so well last Friday that the audience was like, they got mad at him for that joke. They turned on him.
Right.
They're like, "What are you talking about? That guy's funnier than you."
nice.
Like, that's the
Hell
problem
yeah.
with doing that. And I thought about doing that joke, like since he follows me, I thought about doing it before. I'm like, I just want to apologize that the next comedian, like he's only here because he brought me and stuff. But I don't
Turn it
mind.
on the month.
Yeah, I told my mom he does that joke about me. And my mom's like, "That's not cool." And I'm like, "It's just comedy, you know."
Yeah, we gotta make fun of each other.
Oh yeah, no. If you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be getting up on stage. Like that's part of the fun.
But that was a couple
But
weeks
I
ago,
was
right?
surprised to learn how many comedians actually can't take a joke.
They can't take a
That's-
joke. No, they get serious
Yeah.
about stuff. Yeah.
Because they've been the brunt of so many jokes for so many years. That's probably what pushed them into comedy.
Ah, okay.
They were that kid.
I just feel like that you should have a thick skin and
Oh, yeah. No, I
handle it
agree.
at that point and like
Right.
actually dish it back. Like that's what I like about comedy is I expect people to, not everybody's that quick. Some people like to sit and write, but I don't know. It's rare that I see a comedian back down from a roast.
I got shocked I don't usually get shocked watching comedians. There was one comedian, I forgot his name, he's brand new, and he started doing jokes about his dad having brain cancer. He's like, yeah, we used to watch Jeopardy together, but he couldn't do so well because he had brain cancer. And I was like kind of stunned over that joke. And he's like brand new, but the weirdest thing is it's weird to see something that polished, that new. But he's like, yeah, he had brain cancer and we used to watch Jeopardy together, but I knew most of the answers and he didn't. And I was like, damn, that's kind of hard. But it was funny, but yeah, it was kind of surprising.
He used to go all the way to Double Jeopardy. Now he only gets going. Who's the host tonight? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he had a joke that I guess it was during it was during December, so he got his dad a PS5 because he knew he was gonna get it after his dad died. I was like, damn.
Wow.
I was like, what's that? I forgot that guy. I was like,
If he was gonna stick around longer, I would have bought him a secondhand PS2.
I was like, I bought him a PS5, and I was like, damn, that's kind of harsh. But it's like, people have the right to joke. I'm not judging people on their jokes because some of the jokes. I mean, I had some fentanyl jokes.
Nah, that joke is good, bro.
Yeah, I had a joke about. I met some woman who sells fentanyl strips, and at first I thought she said she was a stripper named Fentanyl, and I was like, "That's kind of hot, though."
Let me ask you this, because a couple
so,
of weeks ago, Vahe was on stage and you heckled him, right? And he was like, "Don't heckle me" or something.
Oh yeah, I heckled him one time. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to do to your producer. Notes.
No, he was asking to be heckled by the audience. He said I forgot what it was, but he does go into the audience and then he asks.
Yeah, he does a little crowd work, huh?
So yeah, I used to heckle people a lot at open mics. That's why I don't go to open mics anymore because I like to heckle people. I'm a bad heckler. Yeah.
Well, that's
so
you
I'm
know,
still doing
you
comedy
reminded
that
me.
I have not
I've been
done
doing
in
a
crowd.
pretty dark joke lately. Let's see, shit, what was it? The people who say that suicide is the easy way out clearly never tried to follow through with it.
That's true. I have one dark joke. You know that Biden is trying to ban gas ovens? And then I tell him, but then he was afraid he was going to lose a Nazi vote. And then the crowd groans. They're like, I did it 2 weeks in a row. But last Friday, the groans were slower than the week before. But I'm like, that's just a common joke, right?
What I like about it is that it implies that Biden had the Nazi vote at all.
Of course he did. You never know. You never know.
Well, maybe he did. Like, that's also really funny.
I hate to say this, but I don't think the Nazis like Trump either. Like, I don't. The whole
No, the real
idea that the
Nazis didn't
the
like
Nazis
Trump.
were for Trump, I don't think that was true.
No, so Trump did a lot of good things for Israel, like declaring Jerusalem the capital or something like that.
Yeah.
He did the Abraham Accords. So the Nazis actually really hated Trump. That's one of the ironic things.
Well, today is Juneteenth, right? He was the one that made Juneteenth a national holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found out about Juneteenth when I first moved to San Francisco. I moved to, I lived near the Fillmore district, and I went to the local grocery store there, and they had all the streets shut down for a Juneteenth block party, and I had never even heard of it. That was a really cool way to learn about it.
Yeah, I remember those festivals up there in the Fillmore. That's how I learned about it. But like I said, I was working for that youth organization, and we would do a lot of outreach and go and have like booths at these places. So that's how I found out about it.
Well, you should have known about Juneteenth because didn't it get started in Texas? Wasn't the first Juneteenth officially in Texas?
That is true. It took the news of freed slaves getting all the way to Texas before they were all freed. So yes,
well, most people
Texas
don't
earned that distinction of starting Juneteenth. I don't know if that's a thing to brag about, but it's true.
Well, most people don't realize that Texas was part of the Confederate.
Yeah.
Because I went
Basically-
to Austin and they actually have Confederate statues in the Capitol still.
In Texas?
Yeah, in the Austin Capitol. I was there like maybe
Okay.
8 years ago, and they do have monuments for the Confederate soldiers.
Well, I mean, the school I graduated from was Lee High School. And apparently, I never really thought that it was, I just always grew up with the knowing that, states' rights and stuff like that. But it turns out that so they renamed that school right after integration purposely to piss off people who wanted the schools integrated. So I guess it was a racist name. and they got rid of it.
Damn.
Now it's legacy and oh, geez, I hope it's not equity. It's still LEE, but it's like legacy, entertainment, and I don't know, ejaculation. I don't. It's something.
I'm just excited that you graduated from high school, you know?
Thanks, man.
I had to
Actually,
go to summer school. I actually
Dude,
failed my English class my senior year. I had to go to summer school to
Get this,
graduate.
I actually have a college degree
Do you
from
really?
Academy of Art in San Francisco, and I work at a brewery now and do comedy. Well, actually, I do produce a comedy show at that brewery called Eccentric Comedy. So that's pretty cool.
That's an expensive school, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 50 grand a year or something.
No, it was not that high.
Is it even around? I heard they're having trouble.
No, they're still around. They became a university. They're definitely still there.
Did you go to college? You must have gone to college.
Yeah, I just recently got my AA in social science, but I didn't get it yet. The counselor said, "Oh, you had enough credits to graduate, but you missed the deadline." So they graduated in May. So my punk ass is not going to graduate till what, December or something? I don't know when the next season of graduation is.
Are you gonna Berkeley next? Or
Nah,
are you
hell
going
no,
to are you going to 4-year school?
I want to talk to her and see how much I need to get to the BA, because AA ain't shit. But I could say I had certificates before from City College of San Francisco. I had 3 certificates in youth work, community health worker, and post prison. But I didn't have the actual degree, so now I just did this with Laney.
You study prisons or?
No, like I was doing work with like at-risk youth that like are in and out of juvenile hall and a lot of stuff like that. So like I basically my whole career is working with youth. It's just now I'm with a lot younger kids. I mainly started as a teenager in this organization, and I kind of grew up through that and like became coordinator of the program and whatnot. But then ever since maybe the last 10 years, I've been more in schools in education.
That's one problem I have with America. They only care about kids and old people. The rest of us, we can go fuck ourselves, you know? We only care. Like, my mom has one problem. She calls a doctor. She gets seen. They treat her. I see a doctor. The doctor's looking at me like, are you on drugs? Am I wasting my time? Are you on? Seriously.
I mean, you are on drugs, though, Chris.
But do you feel
Let's
that?
be clear about that.
Do you feel that doctors really they judge people? They might not know that they're judging you, but if they think you have a drug problem, like they take you less seriously. Like who cares about you? You know?
Well, that's the thing that I learned dealing with the homeless in San Francisco is what I love about the city is there's a lot of compassionate people who have empathy and really care and do want people to do better. But after a while, the people who just constantly ask for stuff kind of wears on you. So like if I walked 5 blocks where I lived, I'd be at every intersection. I'd be asked for money. And it's like, if I give one of those people my change, fine. But then the next person asks, and I've already given away my change. And then the next person asks, and it's like, people can't afford to help everybody who needs the help.
Right.
And that's a problem. And you begin to have to rationalize, well, I want to help this person, but I can't. So you say, well, this person's been out here. I've seen that. I've lived here for years. I see this person here over and over and over again, and I don't see them ever trying to do anything to make their life better. So you can rationalize not helping that person that way. And a lot of, it's sad that it comes down to that. But, those of us, some people, you need to help yourself a little bit, is what I'm saying.
I get asked for cigarettes
you need to put
all
forth
the
some
time.
effort.
I get asked for cigarettes all the time. People ask me for cigarettes, and I'm like, you gotta pay for your own cigarettes, And I tell them, I'm like, I don't smoke cigarettes. you know. But I'm afraid now I could get shot if I give him a cigarette. So. But like people ask me for cigarettes all the time, and it's like I was thinking about just selling them. Like, hey, I got one, $5, you know, $5.
Yeah,
Walking Lucy
watch out. A
salesman.
guy got killed for that in New York, I think.
Oh, really?
By the police.
Oh, by the police.
Eric Garner, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
it was
it.
Eric Garner. Yeah.
Mhm.
I saw a video of a female police officer in Santa Rosa who beat the shit out of some guy who was drinking a beer. And I'm like, women cops, they'll kick your ass too. They don't give a fuck now, you know?
Well, so one of the things with women cops that can be an issue is if they are smaller physically, like their go-to has to be a taser or a gun. And yeah, well, that's cool that you saw a woman get physical like that. I have actually seen that in San Francisco as well. I've seen female officers really take charge and not pull a gun or anything, but it's probably rare. I definitely, when I see cops on TV or in videos, women like have to go for a taser first because they're usually just physically outmatched.
I have a friend with a taser. She has a taser and she actually
tase
sat
you?
on it. She sat on it and she said that she sat on it, jumped up 5 feet and landed back on it.
Damn.
But she landed on her vagina.
Wow.
So I don't know. I didn't ask her if she had an orgasm, but that she shows me this taser. It looks like a fucking flashlight. She carries a fucking taser and she jokes around it. It's like a friend who jokes around with tasers. I don't know about, but yeah, like a friend of mine's got a taser and shit. Yeah.
Oh, I may know who you're talking about, or I may know another woman who did the exact same
Is
thing.
it Pinky?
I-
Is her name Pinky? Or you might know her. She's a big time pothead. Her name's like Pinky. She goes by Pinky.
No, okay, I didn't know.
She
I
had
don't know
pink
anybody
hair.
named Pinky.
She actually works in a expensive building in San Francisco now. So
Okay,
I
but yeah, those light tasers were really popular
I am the
with
brain.
women there, and I see why.
I don't know that Pinky though, but I know a porn star named Pinky,
you know, oh yeah, there is a porn star named
or there
Pinky.
was, right?
There is
No,
a-
but the San Francisco police, real quick, in my teenage dumb years, I'm not saying I didn't deserve, but I've been beaten up by the San Francisco police a few times. One time they beat us up and then dropped us off in like enemy territory, and we almost got beat up again.
Where did they drop you off at?
I don't want to disclose.
When you say enemy, do you mean Oakland?
No,
Did they-
Like
they
I was
leave you in
doing,
Oak-
you know, I was doing stupid shit, and you know, certain crews had beef with certain crews and whatnot.
Oh, so you weren't a crew.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, I used
was
to-
it a colored crew or was it?
yeah, probably.
Are we talking about that?
I did graffiti crews and I did like gang shit. That,
Did you get arrested for graffiti?
Oh yeah.
I heard that that's like a big. People are getting arrested a lot for graffiti now.
Now I don't know. Shit, I haven't done it in like 30 years. Who knows? But yeah,
I never did graffiti,
just-
but I thought about doing it with my podcast. I would just like put Junkyard Rat all over the munis and the bar.
Just make some stickers. Put up stickers.
Oh yeah,
Well, anybody can
That's-
take it on a sticker. The fun thing about graffiti is they can't take it off, you know?
No, you get buffed. So part of being arrested for graffiti, I used to have to go and like help them clean the tags off the buses.
Yeah, have you ever seen those people that roll around with the garbage cans all day long, Chris, in San Francisco, and they carry stuff? It's called anti-graffiti stuff, and it literally will pull off paint that's been there for less than 12 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and that's how often they're out there cleaning, man.
damn.
They're like,
I didn't
bam,
know.
here it is. San
Yeah,
Francisco.
back in our days, it wasn't like that. We had to use some gel solution, and you had to put some elbow grease in it, and then we had what we call skeletons. There were certain inks that you would hit up on the bus. Somebody would buff it, and you would still see the skeleton of it because like the ink was so dark that they couldn't get rid of it
All the
fully.
way.
Yeah, so those were dope. But yeah, there was one time we had to clean the yards that are right there on like 15th and Harrison or something like that. And those buses had no graffiti on them. So they made us scrape the gum off the floors. And you know those floors used to have the little jagged things. Our knees had all these jagged. Oh, that shit was terrible, bro. Terrible.
But if you got arrested now, would they do that, or would they just put you in jail for it?
Shit, I don't even know. I know I just found out over the weekend my little nephew tags, which is like a son of my niece. So he's like a great nephew. And he looked like he was like maybe 13, 14 years old or something. I'm like, damn, he tagging just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
You know how you keep kids from tagging, you don't teach them how to read, you know? If they can't read and write, they can't tag. They might just do a symbol like the Prince symbol and stuff. Like,
So I got a question. How old is this nephew?
I didn't ask him his age, but I think he's around like 14, 15.
Okay, so would you recommend he stop doing that, or would you just say don't get caught?
I mean, he's gonna do it regardless, so don't get caught. That's I was probably maybe 15 or 16 when I first started tagging, so I get it. You know what I mean? My son's 17 and he doesn't do nothing too stupid so far, so I'm winning in that area.
I think the problem is because if you're gonna tag, you should do a different word each time. The way you get caught is if your name's everywhere. You know.
Well, I appreciate good art in any style.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's putting up good art in a public space, like I'm usually really cool with that. But I get annoyed with like somebody just writing their name on top of an already good mural. That's annoying shit.
Right.
So like I feel like graffiti's got its place, but people need to be respectful and understand rules.
So what if you saw like a modern day Michelangelo on Bart laying on his back, painting like the ceiling, like the cathedral, right?
Yeah.
And he's going over like other people's tags. You would accept
well, yeah, no. So if they're just lame ass tags, fine, paint over it. But if somebody had already put up a nice piece, like paint around it, integrate it, right? You know.
Yeah, I agree with
Although, like, I don't know if it's faded and not good anymore, maybe. But, like, I'm okay with that, too. Like, I'm okay with people, like, allowing a mural to be put somewhere and then being like, okay, that's got old. We'll put something else here. You know, something like that. But...
No, I'm just wondering if Michelangelo was really a tagger. Did he really just tag the ceiling of, like, the 16th Cathedral? Like, he wasn't even really commissioned by anybody. He just walked in and like started spraying.
That's what they did in those days. Like, instead of having paintings, people would paint your walls. You know, I mean, the thing I don't like about graffiti is a lot of these people are just playing sloppy. You know, they don't do it nicely, and
those are toys.
Yeah, I think people should practice, and I don't mind. Actually, somebody tagged Best of SF comedy sign that they put out, that Vahe puts out in his show.
Right.
And I don't even know what it says. I mean, if it said something funny or cool, I'll be like, hell yeah.
I think it either said sucker or slacker.
It probably said sucker, yeah.
But like it was very whack. Like the style was not good. It was very sloppy and what we used to call whack and toys. I don't know. Those can't be the slangs anymore, because what we used to call cap meant like we were what they call roasting now, right? That was our capping. And now apparently the kids say capping for like lying. I'm like, how the fuck? Well, anyways, yeah.
I try and get in those battle shows. Nobody puts me on the battle shows, but I've been battling people for years. I'm good at battling. Like, I might go too far though. I might like really make somebody cry on stage because I really study people. Like, you put me in a comedy battle, I'll spend hours on Facebook looking for your secrets, your Instagram.
Parkinson is not a real person.
No?
No. You've been battling Parkinson's.
I've been battling Parkinson. Parkinson wins at the end. No, but I want to be in the comedy battles, but nobody puts me in the comedy battles, you know? Do they do the battles in Texas too, or?
Sorry, my freaking robot vacuum is beeping at me.
Robot
Go away.
vacuum makes a guest appearance.
Did it suck up the cat again?
No. Yeah, freaking AI, man. It's taken over. But
My mom has
you
a
gotta
robot
embrace it.
vacuum.
You gotta embrace it, make friends now, show them you're one of the good guys. Now's the time. I like my robot overlords. We are friends.
Anybody can choke me out in my sleep, I'm done with.
My mom has one of those robot vacuum cleaners because I refuse to vacuum. I was like, I don't want to vacuum because she has a maid that comes in once a month. I'm like, vacuuming once a month is fine, isn't it? And then she got the vacuum and it's like programmed, like at 7 p.m. It just vacuums and shit, except my
Dude.
room.
One of the nicest things on there is coming home to those fresh vacuum lines, and I had nothing to do with it. It just happened while I was away.
Nice.
But those vacuums got like cameras; they watch you.
Maybe. This one's cheap though. I don't think it could afford to have a camera.
No,
in it.
They can afford it.
they got the TVs, all the TV.
Yeah, the TVs, your phone, right?
You know why the TVs are so cheap these days is because they make money off of you. They make money off you. They see what you're watching. They sell it to advertisers. I read a whole article about it. Why the TVs are so damn cheap.
It's always listening.
They're listening to you. They're calling Biden.
That's why you ever like, oh yeah. I remember how I'll be talking to my wife and like, oh, can you order me those earphones? And then all of a sudden I'll get on Facebook and then ads for earphones, ads for earphones. I'm like, come on, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't gotta make it that obvious.
Oh yeah. One of the biggest scams of our lifetime is phones just listening to us when they're supposed to be off.
Right.
You know that you say things and then you see advertisements for it on Instagram or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't disclose that anywhere, that's how the phone is working.
No,
And
it's always
if you get
those apps, your agreements, but we just don't read them. So
I have a friend that always has her phone out when I'm with her, and I think it's because she's recording everything, right? Every time somebody always puts their phone out, I always think like, oh, they must be listening in. But that's really common these days. Like people can do that. They can program your phone to listen to your conversations when you're hanging out with people. That's really easy to do, I heard.
damn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You sure she just doesn't have it ready in case you try to attack her? She's like, I gotta call 911 real quick when I'm around this guy.
No, I wish. If she had like a big ass tablet to hit me with, I would understand. But trying to knock me out with a phone, you need more than just a phone and shit, But yeah, I think it's common. People do listen in to people's conversations. I've never been that type of person. Like I could care less, because I'm 51. When I was in high school, there was no internet. I wasn't worried about talking shit to people on Facebook. Like the next day you show up, everybody's looking at you like, oh, you said something bad about somebody on Facebook. Yeah. I didn't deal with that shit, But I think I would have done better if there was Facebook when I was in high school because I was kind of shy, I think people didn't realize what kind of an asshole I was because I had no way of showing it. You know what I'm saying?
Back then, we used to the only way we would get busted is three-way calling, and having a conversation. You don't know somebody else is listening on three-way, and then all of a sudden, your next day in school, yeah, we heard what you were saying. Oh God,
I remember that.
Yeah, I was watching a show called Sex Before the Internet, and they had a program about the 976 numbers and the 900 numbers. We actually got $1,000 phone bill. I was addicted to 976 numbers in the 80s, and I can't imagine if these days nobody gets phone bills like that anymore because everybody. But
Nobody
back,
has phone bills.
yeah, nobody has got phone bills. I can't imagine if my kids got $1,000 phone bill, like what I would do. I would just put it in a payphone, fuck all that. But yeah, my parents paid a couple of times, and people used to joke that I had stock in the phone company because I was addicted to it. I would call it. In fact, I wouldn't do anything live. I like the recordings, and
Really?
in fact, the first orgasm I ever had was over phone sex, and I always wonder if that kind of fucked me up. If I had
Wait.
if my first orgasm was with pussy, maybe I would be getting a ton of pussy. But now I think that maybe that's how I ended up a comedian because my first orgasm, I wasn't even touching myself. I was listening to this program and I just came. And I remember talking to my dad later on and I didn't know what to say because I didn't know what the fuck was happening, right? I just had a fucking orgasm. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, my first orgasm was over.
What was that a recording or a live woman?
It was a recording. I think the woman was fucking some dude in a changing room in a store.
Oh wow.
But I think I've always been into that's one of the things I liked about comedy is the voice, because yeah, I used to listen to all these recordings. Like if you can get off on some recording, like that just says you're a real pervert. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, so what was it? Penthouse letters were always a thing. The stories that people wrote into Penthouse that were probably made up, but they were supposed to be real stories that people wrote about sex they had, usually in public, some encounters or something. But they're hot. Like all of those, what was it, 50 Shades of Grey? That made a ton of money off of being that. Like reading, hearing stories, that kind of stuff is really hot. People like it.
Yeah, I remember that porn videos would go through my high school. Like people would. I remember Debbie Does Dallas went through my high school. Like that was the first porno I ever saw. Yeah, in those days, like you would your friends would just give each other porno video. You gotta see this porno video. And when my dad had a porn collection, and he had one video of a woman squirting, right? And I gave it to a friend of mine, and he never gave it back to me. And my dad started yelling at me one day. And I didn't realize, I knew it was over that video, but he was too ashamed to tell me because I broke into he had a cabinet with his porn collection, but they had sex toys. There was lingerie in there. And there was another video where it was a three-way, like a mom and a daughter. And I kept thinking, was my dad, did he want to bang my grandma or something? Weird shit, what kind of video, like a three-way, a mom and a daughter? Were my parents watching three-way porn videos with a mom and a daughter and some dude? Just weird shit that you shouldn't even think about,
Right.
People like things that they know are taboo. So that most likely that was not a real mother and daughter. They were just two actresses of different ages that looked similar.
I think the only time you should have been worried is if the lingerie was in your dad's size.
That is true.
Right.
My grandmother was a piece of ass back in the day. She was really good looking. And that's why it was weird. I never really asked him, but it was my fault. I broke into this cabinet. It's my fault. You break into something you shouldn't have. But yeah, that squirting video, that was really what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Because back then there was no internet. We didn't know what the fuck women squirted. We didn't know about that type of shit. They didn't teach you that in sex in school.
That video traumatized young Chris.
Yeah.
He couldn't run through the sprinklers again for a while.
What the hell?
As a child.
Yeah.
He would see sprinklers and just run away screaming.
Yeah.
Years of therapy.
What the hell is a squirting video? My dad's got squirting videos. Is my mom a squirter? What the fuck is going on here? This bizarre shit, but now it's common. But back then it was the fuck is going on? But at the same time, I I had $1,000 976 number bills, so I'm just as big as a perv as my other family members, I guess.
Were you in San Francisco at that time?
No, we were in San Jose. I grew up in San Jose.
Oh,
Okay.
damn.
Yeah, I grew up near Cupertino, like near Apple Computers. I'm a
Ah.
Silicon Valley brat and shit.
Yeah, man. Well, the
Silicon
porno
Valley
stores
brands
in
are
San
taken.
Francisco really blew me away when I came to San Francisco. There was a shop that I believe the name was just the filthiest videos in town, and they had a rack outside, and that was the first time I saw a prolapsed asshole. I had no idea that was a thing. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm looking at now, but I don't like it. And this is as advertised. The nastiest videos in town for sure. I don't even need to go into the store.
Do you remember the first porn video you ever saw? Or do
The
you?
first,
Nah, we used to. My brothers used to work for cable companies, so we used to get the scramblers and get all the.
Oh,
all the-
yeah.
you know what I mean. So, I'm sure it was like on late night Cinemax, and it was like an actual movie that from time to time the people would have sex in. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was different back then. It was.
yeah, softcore porn. That
Yeah,
was the
there you
first I
go.
saw.
Softcore
Where like
porn.
the dude's dick is taped to his leg and he's just
Yeah.
pretending, just going through the motions.
You can tell how old a person is by the first form of porn they've ever seen. Was it on 8-track?
Definitely VHS for me.
Well, I saw
Real
Debbie
to
Does
real,
Dallas.
man.
Betamax.
Actual.
Yep.
Or like
No,
what's the
what was it?
worst thing?
Satellite.
Films.
We had an illegal chip in our satellite, and I got like the Spice Channel, I think it was called.
Yep. I
And
remember
like,
that.
yeah, it was all like porn without any of the money shots. You
Right.
you might see some bush, but it was all tits, ass. Oh, who was it? Bill Hicks had a bit about it. He was like, he called it Harry Bobbin Man Ass. And just like you turn on the porno at a hotel and all the good stuff's cut out. It's just Harry Bobbin Man Ass.
Yeah, the first time I had my own place, like I got cable installed, and then the guy who installed the cable, he was cool. He made sure that I got to see all the pay-per-views for free.
Nice.
But I was such a dumbass. I didn't realize it. I actually tried to order a WWF event, and the cable company figured out, and they shut it off. Like I had all this shit for free, but I was such a dumbass. I didn't even realize it.
Damn.
I tried to order something I couldn't see for free, and the cable company's like, "Oh fuck!" Those were the great days where you could order Domino's pizza with a check, a bad check. You could, yeah, you could just pay with a check.
On a Friday night.
Yeah.
You're the guy who ruined it.
It was me.
Right.
It was me. Checks were the best, man. Checks were the best. Like that's when we went to hell, when we couldn't pay with checks anymore.
Yeah, I remember when debit cards first came out. If you had 45 cents in your account, you could fill up your tank at the gas station. And now they're like, nah, you ain't got no money in there, bro. Get out of here. You ain't getting no gas.
I used to go to Arco where you could put in money into the money machine. I would put in like $5. I went there, yeah, it was bad and stuff. Yeah.
The weirdest thing I remember about a gas station was where you had to go buy tokens to buy your gas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a place in our hometown. You literally went up to the cashier. It was kind of literally like you were in Vegas. Can I get a, stack of your gold coins to stick in only your gas pump? That was
Damn.
the stupidest thing I ever seen.
Yeah, I worked
Wow,
at-
I've never seen that for gas.
Right.
We have that for beer here, though. Some breweries, I guess it has to do with like their alcohol permit. You have to get you pay for tokens, then you exchange the tokens for beer.
Right. Because anybody can have money. You could be underage and get the money and put it into a machine. But you actually have to go purchase the tokens from someone that's an adult that adheres to the ABC laws.
I see. Yeah. There's not I'm not talking about a machine though. You're right. that's weird that you had to go get tokens and put them into the machine.
Into the gas pump,
That-
yeah.
That is
Yeah.
okay.
Like it was a slot machine or something. I'm like, what the hell?
In high
That's
school,
funny.
I worked at
It
a
is like
Union
a
76. And yeah, back
Getting
then the
chips.
gas, you could fill your car for $5 or something. But once in a while, I needed extra money. Like I would charge them $15 on their credit card because it was all paper, and and I only got busted twice. But yeah, I used to do that shit. It was really bad. You can't even do that anymore. But that was a fringe benefit of back in the, like Paul's looking at me like I'm just a fucked up person. I shouldn't admit to that. But one
You know,
day,
I
one
once
day,
had a $15 charge on my union. I'm just
yeah, one day I wanted some Ray-Ban glasses. They were like $40. So I overcharged 4 people for, and yeah, and you know, it was bad. It was bad. I shouldn't admit to shit like
I'm
that.
not judging. I'm not judging little child Chris just because of the stuff that he went through.
Another
The squirting video alone would
I
turn you to a
know.
life of crime.
Another crazy thing I did back in the day, which I got 2 bank accounts, and I would keep writing checks for each one of them back and forth, put out, and then they shut me down. Like I was just a terrible person. But back in those days, like you know, shit
get away
was
with shit.
yeah, shit wasn't that crazy. Now it's like now they fucking come at you, you know, for anything. But back in those days, it'd be like, you're a bad boy. Yeah.
You're getting canceled today, Chris.
Oh, I've been canceled. I've been canceled more than my credit card company has canceled me. You know, it's weird that credit card companies still send me emails like sign up, and I sign up, and they always say no.
Done a Google search on my name. Save the paper, bro.
I'm a dumbass. My last name is so uncommon. Like I'm not that hard to find. Like I'm such a dumbass, you know. Another thing I used to do is my mom had easy handwriting. I used to sign her name. I won a reading contest when I was in grade school. I didn't even read the books, but I would sign her name. I would sign her name, you know. And another thing, back in those days, when you used to cut class when I was in high school, they would leave a message on the answer machine. So you would go home and you would just erase it. Boom,
Right.
gone. They didn't even bother to call my parents at work. Like, hey, Chris didn't go to school today. So I would have a friend of mine call up and leave a message and erase that message, you know?
Oh yeah, I've erased messages, and I knew how to sign my dad's name. His signature was very easy.
My dad's signature is complicated. I never even bothered to try it. Like he has a really like, but my mom is like, boom, yeah, boom.
You still know how to do it?
I can do it to this day. I can do it to this day.
Nice.
I don't know if you know after my mom's gone, I might be signing her Social Security check. I don't know. I might keep getting Social Security checks. Like, why the hell?
Episode 23, Mom, don't be watching.
Right.
Hey, my mom knows who I am, dude. My mom knows
Also,
who I
you're
am.
hoping the IRS is
You
not
can't hide
watching,
anything from your
and,
mom.
a lot
you
of
know?
Out of
others.
the will and give everything to the church episode.
You can hide things from your dad, but your mom, you spend 9 months in your mom. She knows who the fuck you are. You know? She knows if you're corrupt. I don't even got a criminal record. After all this shit I've done, I don't even got a criminal record.
Dog.
I've never got arrested. I got a hit and run one time. So actually twice. That's another weird story because the first crash I was in, some woman hit me, and I went to the police. I said this woman hit me. I had her license plate. They made me pick out a picture. I couldn't figure out which one it was, you know, because so I thought if she got away with it, I'm gonna do it too. I couldn't get away with it, so. But now,
So that sounds like you do have a criminal record. Number one.
I never had a felony. I had 2 misdemeanors, but I've never got arrested for weed. But I don't have a license anymore, so maybe I do have a bad record. But
I remember once I was smoking a blunt. Me and a bunch of my friends, and we're walking down 24th and Mission, and all of a sudden the narcs pulled right up on us and jumped out and grabbed the blunt from my mouth and threw it on the floor and stomped on it and was like, "What? How much weed you guys got?" And we had to empty our pockets of all our weed, and they stomped our shit on the ground. And everybody blamed me because I was hitting the blunt and I blew the smoke right into the narc car.
in high school, one of those Mondays it was a holiday. We were driving my car and we were actually drinking in my car, and a cop pulled us over, and he did the whole test on me, and he's like, "Are you on speed?" And I wasn't on speed, so I was like, "No, I'm not on speed." And but he started lecturing my friend because they weren't wearing seatbelts, right? And but he had a beer that was pouring out of my back seat. It was dumb. I mean, we were dumb. So I made sure all my friends wore their seatbelts after that. A month later, my friend was driving my car. I was in there. We actually ran into a house. We had 5 people in the car, and we all survived because motherfuckers, that guy made sure we all wore our seatbelts. See? It's not all bad. Sometimes cops do things to you, and a month later, the guy saved our lives. Because if somebody behind you isn't wearing a seatbelt, they're going to crush you in a crash. So it wasn't a bad thing. I didn't get a DUI, but that was the last time I let anybody drink in my car. You know, we were bad kids. You know,
Right.
The Apple computers like fucked us up. You know what I mean? Have you ever come close to a DUI, or how about you? No.
Never even been pulled over. No, I was pulled over once, and I was drinking that night, but they pulled me over because I didn't have a license plate in front of I only had a license plate in the back.
Yeah, I got a ticket for that. I didn't even know it was illegal not to have a license plate in the front. I got a ticket for that one time too.
Yeah, and I had my shit in the window too, but they were like, "You got to get it," and so I got to fix a ticket, and both of my friends were on probation that I was taking home. They handcuffed both of them and had them on the ground, and the lady cop was like flirting with me standing there, and I'm the drunk one, but I wasn't like drunk. I had a few beers, but that was the only time.
I was surprised. I thought I got busted for a DUI, and I wasn't even that nervous when the cop was doing the test. But when he's like, "Are you on speed?" and I'm like, "Well, I'm dyslexic, so maybe it looks like I'm on speed. I don't fucking know. I don't know, man. But yeah,
I guess the closest I went through a drunk check stop on the Mission in San Francisco, but I was driving Uber and I had a passenger and they just waved me through. But I was pretty much always high when I was there. So
Like smoking and driving.
I think I drove better when I was high, though. One time I crossed on the Bay Bridge, the beginning of the Bay Bridge. I ran into somebody, and we threw the pipe in the weed over the pass, right? And we actually went back and got it. we went back and got the pipe in the weed because it was the beginning of the Bay Bridge, so it landed on a roadway.
Down there by like where the
wow.
carpool one is.
Yeah,
Off
and
Second.
yeah, right. We were leaving the San Francisco area, and I crashed. I threw the pipe in the weed, and we went back and got it. It was sitting there.
But you had to cross the bridge, then come back, huh?
No, we had to go. We had to go under because it wasn't on the Bay Bridge. We threw it off the overpass.
Oh, so it was before you got on the bridge.
Yeah, it was right in the beginning. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
If I had one regret, I would have never drove in San Francisco. San Francisco, I got tickets. I got all kinds of bullshit. I should have never drove in that fucking city. It sucks.
Oh man, that's the number one advice I always give anybody who's visiting San Francisco is do not rent a car. Don't drive there if you can avoid it. Take Uber, take public transit. But you can take Uber for the entire time you're there. And for what it would cost to rent a car, park it, and probably pay for tickets and parking elsewhere, Uber would not only be cheaper, but then you don't have to drive yourself. So you can be drunk or high or whatever and not even worry about it.
My
It's a way
advice,
better
my
experience.
advice is, Muni's free. You don't have to pay.
I mean, that is one of the weirdest things about SF is when the homeless people were asking for money. People were saying, "I need money for BART," and it's just like, you can write it for free. I see people do it all the time.
Yeah, I see people jumping over their turnstiles like they were in some track and field event. Like they just jump over like, hey, and nobody gives a fuck. I used to
Yeah.
I used to do I wouldn't even sneak out. They built some elevators that would be outside the station, which is really weird. So I would just sneak in, but now I got a disabled bar pass. So but it's expensive, like from where I live, if I came here every day, it would be like $15 round trip every day on BART. I pay like $4, and they're raising the rates again,
Right.
because nobody rides BART. Like, yeah, I think people don't ride because it's too fucking expensive.
It's too expensive, and there's a lot of just homeless people sleeping on that shit, right?
I don't mind the homeless people sleeping. I don't, to me, it's like, hey, they got the thing about it is if you're losing money, why not have less, because they run like 10 cars in every train, right? You could go with 6 cars. And the other thing is it's all electric. So they can't say that the gas prices are too high because they don't use gas on BART. It's all electric.
So I saw I saw all this controversy about BART not getting enough funding, and then I saw this lady on the same day that came up posting a little stand inside BART that apparently dispenses paper short stories to read while you're on the BART. And if they're having budget problems, why are they paying for a little standalone machine that prints out a story when everybody getting onto BART has a phone they can read stories on?
Right.
Well, I don't really think BART's that broke because they built buildings on BART stations everywhere. And it's like nobody's living in these places. They're so damn expensive. Like where I live in Walnut Creek, they built like 5 buildings and they're fucking empty. It's like, isn't that why you're broke? Isn't that why you're losing money? Because you got all these buildings that are sitting empty in your property.
But they're like what? Like your homes? Like you're supposed to they want people to live there?
Yeah, they're apartment buildings. Yeah, they built. I think in over half of the BART stations in the last 5 years, they built apartment buildings right on the stations.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they're like 3-4 grand a month. Like, if you can spend 4 grand a month, why would you live at a BART station? Get a fucking house somewhere,
Right.
Well, you're right, Chris. Those kinds of expensive things are, if they're empty now, that's a real problem because with the businesses closing in downtown SF, like Nordstrom's and
Right.
stuff like that, like those are losing jobs. So like the people that would be living in that building that you're talking about and working at Nordstrom's, like both those things are going away. That building's just going to sit empty probably.
Well, yeah, I mean the Westfield, the people who own the mall.
Yeah, the mall.
They
Yeah.
said, "Fuck it, we're just gonna give it to the mortgage." They're like, we don't even want it because it's like it's crazy expensive. But I mean, malls could be nice. Like I went to the mall in Emeryville. They got couches everywhere. If you put couches inside malls, people are gonna hang out. They're gonna spend money. But if you go to that mall in Westfield, there's nowhere to sit. Like, why would you even hang out there?
Well, they probably have had problems with the homeless population, drug users
Right.
taking too much advantage of that stuff. That's unfortunately the problem with that area of San Francisco is you give people enough leeway, and there's too many people that will take advantage of it in the wrong way. And that's what I'm talking about. Like those people ruin it for the people that just need a little help. You know, somebody who's just walking by and wants to go sit in an air conditioned building for a while and may buy something, right? Like you, like that's what you're talking about. But it's ruined by people who come in, smoke fentanyl, and want to come take a nap on the bench.
Well,
You wouldn't be able to sit on it either way. But now there's no bench
yeah.
because of the other people.
I went to the Great Mall in Milpitas. There's fucking couches everywhere. Like, you feel like this is the place you can bring your family. You kick it. You can spend a whole afternoon there. You sit, you chill out. I mean, that's what the mall is for. You know, I'm on SSI and I feel bad for some homeless people because if you're on SSI, they'll find a hotel room for you, but they take your whole fucking check away from you, you know? It's fucking
Well,
bullshit.
I think we're on to. So I think the problem is like everybody was okay with, hey, we'll allow this in the Tenderloin. We'll kind of allow this sort of stuff, and we'll try to like keep it here. But it grew. Nobody foresaw a pandemic making it worse, but it just exploded, and now it's taken over really nice things like the Westfield Mall, like Nordstrom's, and like those were always on the edge, but tourists could still go there and feel safe. And I don't think it's working that way anymore.
Well, the tourists don't even go to the mall. If you go, they're at the Ross. The Ross is full of tourists. The Ross come in. You come from another country. You buy a bunch of clothes for your family. The mall is just fucking expensive. I mean, let's not even kid ourselves. Like, I didn't even bother to buy shit at that mall. Like, fucking Bloomingdale's or Nordstrom's. Like, fuck that. You know. Why not have a Walmart or something? You know, the Target is always full.
Well, and there you are. You're into another thing, which is normal people who live in the area. A lot of them can't afford to go buy that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like, and so who are they catering to? Tourists. And if the tourists don't feel safe, they're not coming. And that's what's happened.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like when I go to the North Beach for the comedy show, North Beach is like a different area, you know? You don't
Really?
see all that craziness, you know? Unless you go to
That's
the
the
park. Yeah.
the
But
Kel show.
yeah, Cal's, yeah.
And the other bad problem that San Francisco has right now is all the fucking bipping. Like you said, don't bring your car and park in San Francisco because you're gonna come back with broken glass and all your shit gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just heard that term bipping this year. How long has that term been around?
It's been around a few years now, as
Okay.
far as I know.
Now I don't own a car, but if I did, I would leave the door open. Like I wouldn't leave any valuables, but fuck, if you wanna I would leave the window down. I don't give a fuck, you know?
Well, I consider
I leave a
myself
sign on
lucky.
my
My car
dashboard.
was never broken into in
You should just
SF.
put a
I
picture of
drove
your
around
stuff.
and
No
parked,
people will
but
rip it off and shit, you know?
Oh, I literally just I put a little message on my dashboard that says there's nothing in my car.
But you have an expensive car. You got like a Charger or something? Or-
No, I got a Volt.
Oh, you got a Volt, yeah.
But no, I put there's nothing in the car. P.S. I can see you right now.
You think that would
And so they don't know what the heck they're getting into.
yeah.
well, and that's a real testament to public education. At least they can read,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
A friend of mine had like her work laptop stolen from her car, and she called her work, and the worker's like, "Don't worry about it. We'll just trace the laptop. We'll figure out who did it." But yeah, everybody I know has had their windows broken in their cars in San Francisco. You know?
Dude, there was a wrestling event a couple of months ago, and one of the wrestlers got his rental broken into, and they stole his title belt.
Oh yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, I
They
mean, okay,
ended up
that
making
was
it a whole angle. They were like, "Oh, this other guy's the one who took his car," and so then they ended up feuding or whatever. But
Was that a real angle or Was that like
The funny thing is, I saw somebody selling a belt in UN Plaza.
That's
A
what's up.
couple weeks ago.
Yep.
But it looked like one of those ones you buy for your kids, but it was awful big to be a kid's.
Wow.
I have a friend.
Go.
I have a friend who has like he has a new bike every month, but it's always like painted in weird colors because he would steal it and then he would repaint it and shit. And I was thinking, wouldn't that be great if you could do that with a car? Steal a car and you would just give it a new paint job. Nobody would fucking know, you know? Bikes get stolen too. Everything in San Francisco gets stolen. But you know how you just gotta like not be afraid, you know, like don't steal my shit, you know? Backpacks. But it's like
Speaking of, I got a wrestling match. I got a wrestling match going on here.
And in this corner, weighing in at 9 pounds 3 ounces, it's the challenger.
it looks like the fact
Holy smokes! Look at that one. You got two different class animals there.
that cat can't even
Yeah.
move. How fat is that?
Oh,
How fat is that cat, dude?
Dude, that's a heavyweight versus a featherweight.
yeah,
I know that
she's
cat
over.
can't even fucking move.
She's a
Dad.
chomp. She's over 20 pounds. Her name is Moffdet.
Do you even
The
feed
little
that cat?
one's
What
name
do you
is Sarsaparilla.
do? You like feed that cat fried chicken every day? What's
One
Oh
lasagna.
no,
lasagna?
it's cat food.
Garfield.
A friend of
She's
mine
a
used to
cat
make
food
wheat
eater.
lasagna because her kids hated it.
Lord.
Her kids hated the lasagna. Are you wearing an Outside Lands t-shirt?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, the cats are not moving anymore.
Oh,
But
have
yeah,
I've never
Outside
been to that
Lands.
concert.
This is the first year, man. Very first year.
Oh yeah.
I went for Tom Petty, and what Primus, Cake was there. It was really great, man.
Tom Petty.
I went
died of
to the
fentanyl.
first year of a lot of festivals out there. I went to the first Treasure Island. Let's see. There's another one. Whatever.
You ever been
Festival.
to that comedy?
Oh,
day
I went to
park?
the first Festival Supreme. Or no, the what was it? Clusterfest. That
Oh,
was it,
the
first-
comedy one. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Bill Burr was headlining. Of course, there was a Les Claypool thing. Les Claypool's Bastard Jazz. South Park. I got to take my pictures with South Park characters. They had the Seinfeld diner, and they had the Soup Nazi kitchen outside. And I got to go into, was it Patty's Pub from Always Sunny. It was fun, man. Kyle Kinane killed it. It was, those festivals are really fun. Has that come back?
Not the cluster one. I don't think that. Even HempCon. HempCon is actually doing an event in LA, but they haven't done HempCon, the High Times Cup. But
Oh, really?
I think Outside Land still happens. A couple of them happen and stuff.
Well, I know that COVID stopped a lot of that stuff, and some of it hasn't come back. So HempCon hasn't been back since COVID.
No, they tried to do it last year, but they didn't do it. But now they're doing like a business one in LA in July. But
Well, when I think about it, though, like if you're worried about spreading germs or viruses, a smoking event is just anti that. So if people are still concerned about that, I can see why they wouldn't be having events like that. But dude, I tell people about HempCon all the time. You know, I'd been to the Cannabis Cup and to HempCon, and the Cannabis Cup was always like the pot clubs trying to show off their best stuff, but it was always at club prices. Now, HempCon was the growers showing off their stuff at grower prices.
Nice.
So, Cannabis Cup, you can get like 2 8s for $120, or you can get an ounce for $120 at HempCon. Way better.
well, yeah, the problem with HempCon now is that you got to be licensed to be a vendor at these events. HempCon
Yeah.
was a lot better when anybody could have a booth, you know. That's what happened to HempCon, but yeah, I don't know why they don't do it. They still do that one in Santa Rosa every year. But yeah, these weed events, they used to be so much fun. I actually volunteered at a cannabis cup. Like
Nice.
I volunteered in two of them, and they were fun. They treated us really well, and then High Times got new owners, and they kind of just stopped doing them. They do judging, but it's like they don't do their events anymore, which kind of
Oh,
sucks.
all of a sudden High Times just became advertisement. Like I follow them on Instagram and they're pretty cool, but they just basically they'll put out an article. Here's like the gummies we like. Here's the vapes we like. And I feel like a lot of that's just advertising. You
Well,
know,
they
the people who are in the top 3 paid to put out this article. You know.
well, yeah, I met the new owners, the new High Times owners. They were like frat guys, and they actually opened up a dispensary in Oakland. There's a High Times dispensary
Yeah,
here,
I've been there a
Whoa,
couple times.
but
I
it's
didn't know that.
expensive as fuck. You know what I mean? But
Are they really expensive?
They got some deals going that are, but yeah, if it's like main price, it's
I mean, like tell me, like, do they have like $80 eighths?
no, I didn't see nothing like that. But
Okay.
I think I got an ounce for like 75.
Oh, well, that's
So,
not
and
bad at all.
it wasn't the highest grade, but it was pretty good. You know what I mean? But that it was like a sale. I also some a bunch of edibles. Sometimes they'll be like, all right, there's a sale on these ones right now, and so yeah, and then for that I get to try it. But I've only been there like maybe 3 times or something. But it's like literally halfway from my job home, so I just would stop there and just boom.
Man, I've been having a great time trying all these legal edibles now. So only like you can get a legal Delta 9 THC gummy, which acts just like, the stuff everybody's used to in legal states. But now I get all these things with like 11 hydroxy THC, which is what THC metabolizes into when you eat it. And like THC 10 and like THCO,
what is all that stuff, though?
THCX, THCP, THCB. There's CBG, like all these chemicals, and they're labeling them and telling you how much is in each one. And like some of these gummies are crazy. But like, I mean, I can get a 300 milligram Delta 8 gummy, and you can't even get 300 milligrams in California at all.
Let me ask you this though, because I heard recently that Texas's zero tolerance policy, because like I don't know if you know any of the fighters, but Nate Diaz is gonna fight Jake Paul, I think, in August, and it's in Texas, and Nate Diaz is a big pothead, and when he first heard that they have no tolerance policy, he was like, we might have to change states and fight somewhere else. But it's
So
staying there,
basically,
so I'm like, is it now being legalized?
vapes. Well, so vapes are like actual full-on THC vapes that you buy in a legal state are a felony in Texas.
Wow.
So you can't have that. But like I said, so you can get legal edibles. In fact, Cheech and Chong are now selling their edibles all over the country
Nice.
because of these laws. So you can have up to 0.3% actual THC or 0.03. But if you have a 10-gram gummy, which is not very, it is just a normal square,
Right.
you can have 10 milligrams of THC in that gummy, or a 3-gram gummy, excuse me. That's how the math works out, a 3-gram gummy. Anyway, you can have 10 gram of actual THC gummies. So you can just eat many of them. It's
Okay.
so edibles aren't a problem. If he can do edibles, he can get what he needs.
That's probably
No,
happening.
And
I think the
And
problem
in-
is the different states have different regulations, like the boxing and the fighting events, and
Oh.
they do drug test you in different states for different things.
okay, that could be true. I don't know if I think that would be I doubt that would be a state thing. I think that would be like a UFC thing. So if
Yeah,
UFC is not
athletic
testing
commission.
for it, that's not a problem.
UFC is
But
crazy though. What the hell? Like Connor hit the mascot, and then he decided to go fuck some woman in the fucking arena. Like what the? That guy's got to stay out of stay the fuck out of Miami and shit.
He gets away with all of it because he
I-
makes him so much money. He gets away with. I'm like,
I don't think he raped the woman. Like I think she just got embarrassed. Like she realized everybody knows I got my fuck on the arena in the bathroom with Connor. I'm embarrassed. I'm gonna say he raped me now and shit.
right.
Because I don't think Connor I don't think Connor has to rape a woman and shit. I think
yeah, that seems like a thing he wouldn't have needed to do. Yeah.
He's definitely an aggressive person, so I could see like somebody being maybe not straight up saying no, he's forcing himself in, but he kind of was very persuasive and drunk, and then I let him do it. But now I'm considering, you know what I mean? I
he should
wasn't
know
there.
better because it's not the first time a woman accused him of this
Right.
shit. So he announced that he's having a baby with his baby mama, the third baby, and the next day he's fucking some random woman at the NBA championship game. It's like, dude, you gotta slow your roll, dude. Like, don't be fucking as much,
I didn't know he had allegations before. That does kind of
Yeah.
make a difference.
Yeah, in Ireland, he's hit people before. I mean, the guy gets away with it, but it's like, I mean, there should be a time where you go like, I got a baby mama. Maybe I shouldn't be fucking random women and shit.
He once went to another organization called Bellator where his buddy was fighting, and after his friend got a knockout win, jumped in the cage, and like one of the referees was like, "No, you can't be," and he like shoved the guy. Never got in trouble. That's an official.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't put your hands on an official. Nothing happened.
Well, that's one of the interesting things. They call it the broken windows rule. So, like, if somebody
window.
in a city where things are going bad and people are leaving and houses are getting dilapidated, if they keep the windows fixed, things will look nice and it won't fall apart as quick. People will still move into the neighborhood and the neighborhood can survive. But if they let buildings fall apart and look bad, then people are less likely to move in there, and it's like the ball keeps rolling downhill. Right. And so that works with crime as well. Whereas, like, if you let people jump turnstiles, okay, you're like, well, it's not that big of a deal. But what if that guy who's jumping a turnstile is running from committing another crime or something?
Right.
And you could have, if you had just stopped him that one time, then you would have found out, oh crap, he's up to more stuff. But it's that interdiction point of stopping that person that an officer is able to find out if something more is going on. And that can be a double-edged sword. It could be if you enable cops to arrest people for stupid things, then they're just going on fishing trips to find stupid things.
Yeah.
So it's a problem. But you're saying the same thing with Connor. Like if the referee, if he hits a referee and doesn't get in trouble for that, then he can go on to do worse things or whatever. Oh, and there was that point when he could have been like, hey, stop this.
Yeah, he once ran up on a bus that had a bunch of fighters in it and threw a hand truck, a dolly, through the window.
Yeah.
The window broke, traumatized one lady who was the champion at the time, and another guy got glass in his eye. Nothing.
Damn.
No slap on the wrist, no fine.
Wow.
Yeah, so the guy's just a habitual line stepper. And I mean, he's a good fighter. He's pretty funny. But I don't really like him as a person. You know what I mean?
Well, even the head of the UFC, wasn't he slapping his wife around in a video in a nightclub? A couple months ago?
I think it was New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah, he just slapped his wife in video.
She did slap him first, but it was, this little ass woman versus big ass Dana White.
Yeah, I'm just like, shit.
You can see him going back and look like he does it a couple more times on top of that as well.
Maybe you shouldn't have slapped your husband. If you don't want to get slapped, don't slap your husband. I mean, That's just, but you shouldn't do that shit. But it's like it's UFC, and the problem with the UFC is it's still regulated. The WWE used to be regulated too until they admitted, hey, we're all staged, because they had to deal with the same boxing council that the UFC deals with now. But that's why they came out and said, hey, this is all staged. It's not real. Don't fucking drug test us and shit. But nah, yeah,
Scripted,
it's
but
it's real. I mean, I've had people do wrestling moves on me, and it fucking hurts.
Right.
Okay, there's no. It
Dude.
might be scripted, but it's not fake. People do get hurt.
Right.
People die
Well,
in the
and you
wrestling
don't-
ring.
If you know that it's scripted and it's entertainment, you actually have. I have another
Get
appreciation
everybody's
for
plugs,
wrestling
Chris.
because of that.
Okay, don't worry.
Because to think like,
get everybody's plugs. Take your time. But
Hey, so Jay, what
Oh.
what kind of comedy shows are you doing? Our
Thanks.
show's about over, so let me get your plugs in here.
Yeah, so Eccentric Comedy at Eccentric Brewing, last Saturday of the month. That's this coming Saturday. Our headliner is John Reynolds from Abilene. He's featured here before and was great. I'm really looking forward to his full set. And we got Ricky Reed featuring from Lubbock. Of course, we have an hour of an open mic, then the feature and the headliner. Which is my favorite setup. It's a really great audience for open mics. Anybody in the West Texas area, come out, especially if you know somebody that good for an open mic. We have a great audience, and I can give you up to 10 minutes if you can do it.
What about you?
I mean, I'm guessing plugs. I never heard the term plugs before, so I'm still so much of a puppy in comedy.
Well, where
But
can they find you on Facebook or Instagram?
Brain underscore damage and BRANE. And tonight I'm doing Vinny's Bar and Grill in Concord, and then I just go to open mics, and then those Best of SF on Fridays. Now starting July, I'll be first and third Fridays of the month.
Oh yeah, he's doing Mean Dave's show tonight in Concord. Remember Mean Dave?
Yeah.
The greatest comedian of the Bay Area of all time. I think he blocked me and every. But
I was gonna say, don't tell him you were talking to me. That won't get
he
you.
blocked you
that won't
too. I think he's blocked 90% of the comedians.
Definitely the block
Yeah.
king.
I know.
That does remind me though. Do check out libertylinks.io/J. That's all my links. libertylinks.io/J. Liberty Links is one of those link places, but they allow you to link to free speech sites too. So find me there.
That's hella cool. So are you coming back? Are you ever coming back?
I'm gonna come in February for Beer Week sometime. I definitely want to come check out Beer Week again. I used to love SF Beer Week.
Nice.
My favorite holiday.
Maybe you should just go to AA instead, If you're just coming back for Beer Week, you might as well go to AA and stuff.
Hey man, beer's my life right now.
They don't got beer.
Well, beer and comedy.
How is the beer in Texas? Is it better? Is it different?
Look, there's really good beer in Texas. I love the beer in California too. There's great beer all over the country, actually. You can find great beer everywhere. I'll be honest. Find your local beer. Support your local brewer. Seriously. If you find local stuff in the store, try it. At least try it. If you don't like it, don't buy it again. But at least give it a shot.
I heard Anchor Steam is they're not national anymore. They're just gonna sell in California.
Oh, really? I believe Sapporo bought them out. But I haven't seen them around here very much lately.
Dude, I'm allergic to beer.
Well, thanks for having me on, Chris, man.
You're allergic to beer? What happens when you drink beer?
I start getting all these fucking hives and start itching and shit.
Damn. People are allergic to weed. I didn't realize that. There's people.
Oh, dude, I knew
couldn't do that.
people that would hallucinate from it, and I knew a guy that had a really bad psychotic break from edibles. Weed it doesn't work well for everyone.
I'm allergic to having a job. I'm allergic to seafood. I'm allergic to paying rent. I mean, I got all kinds of allergies and stuff. Well, thank you for being on, J. Aston Graham.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Dude, it's fun, man.
Go check out the mothership in Austin. Go say hi to Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, I will.
And thank you, Brain Damage.
Right
It's been fun. This is the greatest podcast in the history of man. You two should come back one day. And yeah, come back for beer week. As long as you know, we'll make sure you get shit faced every day. You know. It's been fun. I was booked on your show one day. I just didn't bother to show up. I apologize. I think it was in this studio too. Like I said, I can't smoke weed in the studio anymore. I'm not fucking coming in.
Well, if you're ever in Texas, you guys are welcome on my show, of course.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Are you close to Dallas or Houston or?
No, of course not.
Oh, you're in the
We
middle
are
of
5
nowhere.
hours away from everything.
Are you close to Mexico?
5 hours. 5 hours from
We'll
everything.
see you later. Thanks for being on.
Later, Chris.